from the MadGuyz. Tonight I'm talking about John Wick 2! Because Keanu! John Wick Chapter 2 is directed by Chad Stahelski, written by Derek Kolstad, the team behind the first John Wick movie, which was successful and surprisingly really good! Chapter 2 stars Keanu Reeves, Ruby Rose, Lance Reddick, Lawrence Fishburne, Bridget Moynihan, Common, yeah, the rapper, he's in this. It is 2 hours and 2 minutes long, is rated R for strong violence throughout, some language and brief nudity. Basically, the plot of John Wick 2 is John Wick goes back into retirement, but because of a blood pact with a former associate, he has to help him, and just more shit, more mayhem, and more crazy killing happens because of it. Guys, when the first John Wick movie came out in 2014, I thought it was going to be the dumbest action movie I ever saw. Turns out it was surprisingly good. It had that cheesy 90s action movie feel to it, with Keanu Reeves just throwing out cheesy one-liners that really works, and it set up this crazy, insane video game world, and you're just like, I want to see where this goes. Oh, John Wick 2 expands on it. John Wick Chapter 2 is everything I could have asked for in a John Wick sequel. You gotta give props to Keanu Reeves. Keanu Reeves is awesome in these two movies. He was born to play John Wick. He is like the master of shitty dialogue. His action scenes, his stunt choreography in this, he does it all, I believe. He does like 90% of his stunts, and it is awesome. Does a really good job of expanding on the world that the first movie built. The first movie really built this video game-like world where, like, assassins, like the Continental Hotel, like, assassins have these rules when they're at this hotel. They can't kill each other. The rules really kind of expand in this one. It's really interesting. And the action scenes are really fun to watch. Shit goes down when they happen. There are a couple where I laughed. I was like, oh my God! They did that trick again! I never thought I was gonna see that again, but they did it not once, but twice! That was awesome! It happened in a superhero movie almost 10 years ago, and I never thought it was gonna ever happen again, but it fucking did, so fucking watch this movie, because it's fucking awesome! This movie is blood killing. It's just a big fucking shoot-'em-up movie that not everybody's going to enjoy, and I understand that, but if you like cheesy 90s action movies with shit dialogue that only some actors can get away with, like Keanu, you will love not only John Wick, but John Wick 2. Going into this movie, I was really afraid that they were going to go the same route that they did with the first one, that this was ultimately going to be like what The Hangover 2 was to The Hangover. You know, The Hangover was its own thing, and then The Hangover 2 was made, and it shouldn't have been made, and it was just a remake of the first one. That's what I was worried about most with John Wick 2. I was like, I had that uneasy feeling. I was just like, this movie's going to suck. It's going to be the same thing as the first one. It's going to be like The Hangover. It's going to be like Taken. It's just not going to be great. Oh, but no. I had a fun time with this movie. Being said, though, is it better than the first one? It's tough. It's really up to you. For me, no. Problems I did have with John Wick 2. One of them was that you can't just casually watch this movie like you could with the first one. The first one was such a simplistic plot that it was just John Wick was a retired hitman. He lost his wife. She left him a puppy as a present. He got into a conflict with some Russian mobsters. They stole his car, kidnapped his puppy, and he unleashed the wrath of God against them. This one, it's more like, oh, he's got this blood pact, and yeah, a bunch of other shit happens. So you have to really pay attention to the story in this movie. You can casually watch it, but not as much as the first one. I feel like that kind of takes the fun out of it a little bit. Because with the first one, you could casually watch it. You could do something in the background, you could casually watch it, and you could still know what's going on. This one, you just gotta be like, alright, who's he going after? Who's that guy? Who's this lady? Oh. I should be paying attention. Part of the world building in this movie, while I like that the world is still being built and it's expanded upon from the first one, you really gotta pay attention to this movie. Problem with the movie seems to be a problem that a lot of people are having with John Wick 2, and it's the motivation. The motivation in the first one was, You killed his dog. You took everything away from this guy, and he went after these people. That's not the same thing in this movie. It doesn't have that emotional depth or oomph to it. It's really more just kind of like, oh, it's this thing, and he's got to do it, or else he's going to be excommunicated, or whatever the hell they call it. I just don't feel like it worked as well as something as simple as what they did in the first one. The final problem I have with this movie is that this movie kind of takes its time to tell its story, and this is part of the world building thing again, so I guess the world building is something I have a problem with? But the thing is with John Wick 2 is that the first half is really kind of slow. The second half's when all the cool action goes down and all that. I mean, it still happens in the first half, but there's just some scenes that are really exposition heavy, and I'm zoning out during some of these. I'm like, they're not speeding these along. It's like, can we just get to John Wick killing people? I felt like some of these exposition scenes kind of dragged in a way, especially one where he's at a rave and he goes backstage to kill this lady and she's just talking to him for like 5 minutes. I'm like, can we hurry this process along? There are some scenes like that in this film, and it kind of brought the film down to a halt a little bit. However, the second half of this film is just all the blood and mayhem and crazy killing and shooting that you wanted to see in a movie like this that you saw in the first one. Yeah, that all happens basically in the second half. The second half of the movie is like an hour-long action scene, like non-stop, I swear to God. Because you can't casually watch this film, because you can't casually watch this film, because the motivation for John Wick to come out of retirement yet again didn't really resonate with me or many other people that saw this, and because some of the exposition scenes are a bit slow, I do think it's not as good as the first movie. The first movie definitely surpasses it. Goes by at a brisk pace too. This one feels like it earns its 2 hours. Where this movie succeeds is where the first movie succeeded, in that it knows what it is, and that is a cheesy 90s action movie made in the 2000s with cheesy one-liners and the best actor ever, Keanu! If I were to review the original John Wick that came out in 2014, if I were to review the first John Wick movie, I would give it a 7.9 out of 10. John Wick Chapter 2 isn't too far behind. John Wick Chapter 2 earns a 7.4 out of 10. Guys, do yourselves a favor. Drag your needy girlfriends to go see this or the Lego Batman movie. I haven't seen it. I want to see it. Looks really good. Don't let them drag you to go see 50 Shades Darker this weekend. If they do that and you are able to sit through it, you have the guts that I will never have, because that first one was torture! But if you have seen John Wick 2, I want to hear some feedback from you. Drop us a comment in the comment section below. And you can like us on Facebook, follow us on Twitter, subscribe. There will be a logo at the end of this video where you can subscribe, along with a couple of our other recent videos. My IMDb video is still getting comments, even though that announcement was made about a week ago. People are really liking that. I'm getting some really positive feedback on that, so I hope you guys enjoy that and you can go insane with the MadGuyz.